Definitely, definitely. I want to welcome you all back for another great interview. This interview is another business spotlight interview with a great author, motivated speaker, and she's very famous for writing a novel about her late father who was tragically murdered, and she was able to describe it into words and even revealed a lot of information. And we're going to talk about it today. And her name is Annisa Davis, and I'm so happy to have you here today, ma'am. Peace, Queen. How you doing?
Peace to you too, brother. And I
Peace,
am so
peace.
excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And welcome to Celebrity Interviewer I Said It, the show. And this is sponsored by the famous Chicago Bridge magazine. And the publisher name is Brigette Wiley, also the publicist for Roy Ayers. So, with that being said, what led to you giving you the inspiration to say, I'm going to go so far to put this in words and document what happened to my father? And my condolences, I want to say to your dad, and for having to deal with that growing up, and and everything. I can't imagine.
Tell me about it. Well, I will first say that I didn't necessarily know that I even had a book. I was just a normal girl growing up in the 80s. I was, born in 81, of course. I
Okay.
had my father. One minute he was here, the next minute he wasn't. I was a daddy's girl. I have siblings. He was a very good father, attentive. Um, and then all of a sudden he was just taken from us. Growing up, all I knew was that my father was shot in the chest or whatnot, thrown in the back of a pickup truck, and that was it. But so growing up, that I experienced trauma in that sense. I didn't know exactly that that's what it was until later on in life. Just constantly hearing it over and over again. You try to get through it. I think you know, my desperate need of wanting that unconditional love from a male showed up like as I entered like my school age. So I just noticed that I was just searching for love in all the wrong places. And then out of nowhere, I had decided that I wanted to change my life completely. And
Okay.
I was really ready for something different. So I wanted to start like a spiritual journey into truth. And through that journey, the Most High had revealed to me something dealing with my dad. And so it just popped up out of nowhere. Me and my sisters, my brothers, we sort of accepted it. We were just told our father was killed. We only knew of one name growing up. His name was Oscar T. Bay. And so I had a lot of, animosity towards that name growing up, but did not know what God was getting ready to do next. So um, what happens is that I am receiving this urge, this, I don't know, it just came out of nowhere, this direction, divine direction is what I call it. And I began to research and I began to inquire about the murder of my father. And then that's where it all happened. Um, we learned that the man that was convicted was wrongfully convicted. There were three other suspects. This was not just a random murder. This was like a huge, some sort of operation that they had going on here in Kansas City. So, needless to say, I went through many highs and lows, finding out that the man all this time was not the man that did it. I developed a relationship with him. He led me into truth. Um, I mean, the book is just so deep. I mean, I went through like layers and layers of emotions. It's almost like I was being tore down, literally, to pieces. And then somehow, some way, this divine entity comes and just rebuilds me up, stronger. So, needless to say, with me researching the murder of my father, a lot of my family members became healed. Whenever there's something or broken in, past time and it's something unfinished, we have a
Right.
tendency to we have a tendency of not being able to move forward. And so that's what happened in our family. That's why it's called Memoirs of a Broken Side. And it's based off of a tragic event of a man whose life was cut short due to a murder, him being murdered, and how nobody in my family could really recover from it. But this is a very, uh, the word is phenomenal because the things that the Most High revealed through this journey into truth, um, it just it just stops being about my dad and then it goes into a deeper sector, about our people. And I learned about the wicked system and how they use paperwork to manipulate and, the trickery in that. And so I'm becoming a investigator, a prosecutor.
Right.
I'm all these things, but I'm also struggling with being a victim's daughter too. So it talks
Mm.
about my courage, going after the real people responsible, stepping out on faith and really, shedding light, even when it comes to the law enforcement. The ambulance was canceled. So, we've got paperwork that revealed that law enforcement did not want my
You
father to live.
you said
So,
the ambulance. The
uh-huh.
ambulance was still
Yeah, the ambulance was canceled. It was,
canceled.
yeah, canceled. Yeah. 911
Wow.
transcript revealed that the ambulance was canceled. Um, the man Turner Bay's conviction was based off a shot to my father's right arm that exited through the side. Well, when we get the autopsy report back, it reveals that there is a gunshot wound to the left midline of his back that was never accounted for.
Mm.
So we're talking about just a full-fledged operation where things were staged, covered up. And what I try to reveal, even when I do the interviews, if you have someone that has been killed, or you may, or you have this hunch that something isn't right, it's really important that you actually do your own research, because they create their own plots and scenarios with these cases. They simply just want to land a conviction. And you could find out several years later. It took us 25 years later to discover this and unveil this truth. And here it is, the 33rd year, to be exact. Um, so yeah,
Wow.
yep.
I mean, that was a mouthful, and
I
man,
know.
like I say, my heart definitely goes out to you and your family for having to deal with this, and salute to you, definitely for having the
Oh,
strength and the motivation, courage, and the courage, really though, too, to to really put yourself out there, and stand up against the system and stand up against, and pretty much force their hand to say, hey, put, bring this case back up, you know, with the evidence that you found on your own, with the help of the gentleman that you were referring to earlier in this interview.
yes.
Um, with that being said, how old were you when you lost your dad, if I may ask?
7 years old. I
You
was
were
seven.
seven.
Yeah.
And by the age of 7, do you remember the relationship that you had with your dad?
Oh, yes.
And can you
Um,
talk about it a little bit?
it was unbelievable. My dad had a lot of motorcycles, so he loved taking me on rides, on his different motorcycles.
Okay.
Let's see. I remember this one particular time where I was on the back and he told me to hold on tight. And that's like one of the most powerfulest times in my life that I remember, because I was so scared. Like I might have been like 5, and I was on the back of a motorcycle, we were just driving. And I was so afraid. Like even now, I've never rode a motorcycle ever since then. But I remember the feeling of being so scared, but him telling me to hold on to him, just hold on tight. And then that fear just sort of, drifted off. So I remember that. Like I said, I have siblings. He was very attentive to us all. My father could sing, so he constantly sung to us. Um,
Wow.
then one of my best parts of him, or best memories, is that he was very athletic. Not only did he, used to play football, but he was very, very strong. So like Saturday mornings, we would go to the track, and I would watch
Right.
him just jog around the track, and he would never stop. And I just remember that resilience in him, and I really, really, I know that I have some of those traits, because it was a time in my life that I would wake up early in the morning and I would jog, or I would just take off, and the kids are like, "Where are you going?" And so it's just different things. And then, there's a saying that you never want to underestimate the recollection of a child. And that is so evident through this entire book. And like when I tell you that children know things, even when you think they don't know things, this book
Right.
helps identify. It shows people that things are, they're in, they're what's the word? They're embedded in us. The things that we see, the things that we hear, childhood trauma. Like I said, growing up, hearing that, oh, your father was killed, he was, all that sort of put like a shadow over me, so to speak. Even like in grade school, other kids had their fathers and I didn't. So the book is a really, really deep book. I mean, it touches on so many different levels. Um, so
Right. Okay. Well, you're doing great job so far, just telling your story. And I just want to ask the right questions, for the audience and everybody like that. Um, you know, so do you remember like was your dad already retired from playing football? When he was killed at the time, or was he still in the league?
I know that he actually he didn't retire from playing football. In fact, he only played with the Steelers for 2 years. He
Okay.
had an arm injury. So what's really ironic about this whole situation is that like when I was born, he had tried out one last time for the Kansas City Chiefs. So
Okay.
that was something that really devastated him, the fact that he wasn't able to play anymore. So I know that he struggled with that. Um, so to be, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah. You fine.
To be to receive like that recognition, for having that career or that opportunity to play, and then for it to be like taken from you, I know that he struggled with that. I know that that was one of the things that he really struggled with. But I do know that his last attempt for football was he had tried out for the Kansas City Chiefs when I was actually when I before I was born, like right when I was born, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So when he was killed, he was working construction. My father had two college degrees, so he was always able to get any job he wanted.
Mm.
Um, he was just an overall kind person. He had friends all over the world in different states, countries, Switzerland, New Zealand. I mean, he had friends everywhere. And so, yeah,
Yeah. It sounded like he was well respected, very talented, and definitely taken too soon.
I agree.
Um, so, do you have plans, with the book, to maybe turn it to a movie, or make a film about this, or have you already began to do that?
It's actually in the making, and yes, that is my vision. I actually have this vision of taking memoirs to a broken side, actually traveling the country. I do that now, but I'm talking more of a like a theater type, or maybe like even a screenplay. Because
Right.
like I said, the entire story is just really remarkable. Like I haven't even begin to tell you every single thing because I do want people to go out and purchase the book. But when I tell you that it's filled with culture, it has. We're talking about music in there. It'll take you all the way back to the 80s. Just the music in general was really inspirational back then, and so a lot of people really do appreciate this book because it's a form of like history because I take people back and then we move to the to the present where we see some of the things that are happening today. They actually still occurred back in 87. Police had took my dad's clothes off, threw him to the ground, stripped him, took his all of his clothes off. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
things. I mean, when I tell
Insane.
you that this case is a severe, it is so traumatizing, and just the fact that I still have the motivation to even keep doing this. I know that my strength comes from the Most High. But to answer your question, yes, it will make a wonderful movie one day. I even have actors picked out. If I can get the right budget.
I heard that. I heard that. Well, does any of your siblings participate with the making of this, helping gather evidence and information on your journey that you've been on, or is this something that you decided that you wanted to do, and how
That's
did that work?
a question. That's a really good question. In fact, now that you ask, I mean, the entire book is a memoir, so it even talks about my relationship with my other siblings, even as I'm going through the case and how we've got we're having some disagreements. Some people in the family did not want me to, dig up old wounds, things of that nature. But
Yeah.
like I said, this was so divine that it wouldn't let me sleep. And everything, that the spirit told me to do, I did it, and it was something there. So, but to answer your question about my siblings helping, they support me. Some of them don't have the what is the word? I know that my sister, my oldest sister Sherry, she really has a hard time with this. So she's stronger now, and she was older than me. She was 13 at the time, so she remembers a heck of a lot more about him. So it's really difficult for her. So to be honest with me, being the middle daughter, and just to, I guess, the resilience slash investigative person that I am, I believe that the Most High chose me to do this, and and I appreciate the support that they do give me because they do, you know. But as far as like the casework, they nobody really helped me with that. I had to do the footwork myself. So,
Right. And how many siblings do you have?
whew, this is so deep here. Because through the course of this journey, you know, we thought it was just us three. I knew that I had a brother named Jason because my dad talked about him a lot. He lives in Canada. I knew him. I knew about him. I never met him, and he was before I was born. But my father had three girls. I knew about Jason, and then as we are investigating this case, my attorney ends up finding another child. Well, he's not a child. He's actually happens to be older than all of us, and his name is Andrew. He's out of Virginia. So when I tell you that this book is about, you know, turning over stones, it's almost as if there was something that wasn't allowing this to rest. And it still hasn't rested. Murder is the one thing that has no statute of limitation, and that's because they know that it has a effect on an entire, you know, bloodline of people, of a family. So
Right.
while we were working this case, we learned about my other brother out of Virginia, and he happens to be older than all of us. So,
Okay.
you know, just when we thought, I mean, when I tell you that it's so deep, things are just coming out of the woodwork. They're just popping up. They're coming from the sky. They're just like falling down. All sorts of pieces of information that is all being used to help us all. Because each and every one of us are we're a part of him, and each and every one of us need each other, um, you know, to move forward in life. So it's really about family and how tragedy, you know, when broken by tragedy, it's hard for the chains to fix itself. Sometimes you need a higher power to come in, step in, and mend the pieces back together.
Absolutely. And did this brother that you discovered that lived in Virginia, the older brother,
Mhm.
does he had strong resemblance to your dad?
Oh yeah, we all look just like him. He looks just like him too. Like, and it's just unbelievable. But I know the circumstances behind that is kind of similar to what a lot of men deal with, where the woman gets mad and says, "This isn't your child," and that's pretty much what happened. My
Right.
uncle, my dad's only brother, verified that he remembered the little boy from when he was first born. But apparently, my father had an altercation with her parents, I believe, and then with
Mhm.
her, and she told him never to come back and that the child was not his. So, needless to say, um, you know, again, once again, these types of things happen all the time where women are, you know, so bitter or angry with the man that they're willing to sacrifice their child not having a protective parent in their life. So, you know, the book is definitely here to, you know, make people be better.
Absolutely. And let's take a moment and remind people how they can purchase Memoirs of a Broken Side. Hello?
I'm here. I froze up for a
Oh,
minute there.
okay.
I'm
I,
sorry.
I
Can
know if
you?
you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, actually, it froze up for a minute. I had to refresh.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying, could you tell the audience for a moment how they can purchase your book, Memoirs of a Broken Side?
You can purchase the book on Amazon.com. You can shoot me an inbox through Facebook. My email is memoirs of a broken side 87 at gmail.com. You can send me a request there and I can ship it out to you. Now, if I ship it out to you, it will be signed personally. And then it also comes with a really nice gift. Um, People are never expecting what they get. So, um, yeah, either way, Amazon.com, it's there. Just put in the title and I will pop up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I want to get back into this interview real quick and ask you what I know, digging up all this evidence had to be tough and research and run into like a lot of obstacles. Can you talk about some of the obstacles that you ran into and how maybe some people tried to stop you? You don't have to name names if you don't want to, but you
Sure.
know, This is delicate information that you're dealing with, a murder case, meaning you not being quote unquote, legal detective and stuff like that, but you have taken embodied, what I'm saying, this title and become this, because the black man, black woman, the black king, queen, we can, do anything. So can you talk about that? Some of these obstacles you ran into.
Well, we'll start with my first inquiry, March 2nd, 2009, when I first visited the Kansas City Police Department. Clearly did not know what I was walking into. I just simply asked a question. I just wanted to know if I could get information about the murder of my father. And I was so distraught by the way they treated me. The detective snatched the files out of my hand. He agreed to meet with me. And the strange part about it is that I didn't come on time. I was maybe 30 minutes late. So when I did get there, he had already left on another assignment. So another deputy had let me in. He let me into a room, and in that room was a folder, a burgundy folder on the table. And so I
Yeah.
sat there just tapping my feet, looking around to see if there was any cameras because I knew that there were cameras there. And he didn't come in right away. So something was just urging me to grab the file. And so, of course, I did. I just started going through it. And then that's when I learned everything. I learned that, there was three men that were responsible for this. But the way that the case is built up is saying one man now. Everything had been changed, and I had saw the original documents. They were handwritten in red ink. So as I started to get to like the forensic information, it talked about 13 cards of latex prints taken from the truck, the vehicle, this house that supposedly had, it was like a drug safe house that had they confiscated like 5 trash bags of cocaine or something to that nature. So I'm like, okay, wow, this is not just a random murder. Like I didn't know anything about no drug safe house, none of this stuff. We were just told my father was killed randomly in the street of 56 in Lydia. So as I start to gain more information, the detective comes in, and when he learned, he had asked the deputy to let me in. He said, "How long has she been here?" He said, "A little over 15 minutes." And he looked at him like disgusted because I had already started
Mm.
going through the files. So when he
Right.
came in, he snatched the files out of my hand. He told me that he is as sure as the sun sets each day that no one else will be charged in this case.
Mm.
I began to cry at that point because he was very, very aggressive. And I had no idea why. Like I was just a simple woman coming down to get information. And he came off very hostile to the point he made it to where I didn't go back down there for like many years later. Like he was a bulldog of the police station. So that's another thing that I teach people too. There's always a bulldog of the station. They're there to stop you in your tracks from going any further. So because
Right.
he had done that, I knew I wasn't going back down there because I felt too uncomfortable. So what I did was that I ended up writing a letter to the man in prison, something that I wanted to do all my life. I just asked him three things. Did you know my father? Why did you kill him? And were
Mm.
you sorry for it? And I had no idea that when he wrote back, everything he wrote was exactly what I had saw in those records. So that's one thing. um, Overcoming that fear of law enforcement. I don't like them. I'm automatically because of how they treated me, and I was just an innocent person. I wasn't a criminal or anything. Then another thing that I would say, just overcoming is I lost relationships behind it. Number one, this is my life, and nothing comes before that, if that makes sense. Not only was it my father, but I feel that I have a divine assignment to make this right. So therefore, some people could not handle it. They didn't know how to deal with me, and that was fine. So I lost relationships behind that. So just, having that rejection there, you have to be very, very strong because when you believe in something, you really believe in something and you really put your faith in what God has told you to do, you will sacrifice. So I know what it means to sacrifice. Truly know what it means to sacrifice. I mean, I sacrificed time away from my children. I went into a cave for like 2 years straight. All it was
Mm.
paperwork. In the back of this book, um, everything that I tell you, I have the footage and the records, some of the records, the pictures, all in the back.
Mm.
Um, I mentioned, I tell you the references. So if anybody wants to go and get, the case, they can, they can feel free to order it, if that's what they want to do, you know. So that alone, the sacrifices that come with doing something like this is is deep. And so that was that. Then I went through a sickness. Understand that I didn't know any of this stuff. I just simply knew that my father was a loving father, and that was it. And he was loved by other people, and he was very handsome, and he was very strong, and that was it. And so all this other stuff that's coming out of the woodwork in this case, it's having me question my identity. What were you doing at a drug safe house? Why is all this happening? My dad was also a Mason. I don't know if I mentioned that to you, but he was a Mason. So he believed in the brotherhood. Like I said, he had friends all over the world. My grandfather was a Mason. We are like a family of Masons. My grandmother was an Eastern Star. I didn't know what none of this stuff meant. It's a
Right.
lot different now than what it used to be years ago,
Right.
but, he was a very, very spiritual person. He sung in the choir, he took me to church. Let's see. It's just, it's deep. I mean, just knowing that justice has not been served alone is like a shadow over everybody. Now, I guess you could say I find my strength because it's such a powerful story that just like in old times, our culture lived because our grandmothers told a story. They live our history is based on our family keeping the story within the family, and you teach your kid, and then they teach your kid. But see, that is missing now. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So there's no way that you're gonna know what the family was like. And that's how, once we came over here and enslaved and whatever the case was, transatlantic slavery, all that stuff went out the window, but and then so I think what the Most High is revealing too is the whole cultural deprivation, not really knowing who you are, because as I'm researching this case, I'm finding out more about myself. I start digging deep into my DNA, my roots. I
Right.
learned more about me as a person. Why do I have certain gifts? Why do I have certain talents? And then I realized that a lot of people in my family have the same gifts, the same talents. So, it's about learning who you are. And I think, well, not going to say I think, I know that God put me through this so that I would, recognize that spiritual divine connection that really is a part of all of our lives. We just have to be willing to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? We just have to really dig deep down inside and figure this out, because it helped me be a better person. Like the things I used to do, I don't do that stuff no more. Anything. It doesn't matter. If it was bad, I don't do it no more. You know, I don't break the law. I don't give the no, I don't give one thing about my freedom is that I don't play with it. So, the book it's helping a lot of people understand that this system is here to destroy, but only if you allow them to, you know. So yeah, just it's many emotions.
Yeah, like I say from the beginning, I cannot imagine, you know what I mean? I'm just here to ask the questions, you know what I mean, with
No,
all due respect.
you're good.
So with that being said, how has the pandemic been for you, and how is it there where you're living right now?
Um, the pandemic, okay, so when it first started, I had a lot of things lined up. I was supposed to go back to Atlanta. I was going to South Carolina to do a speaking engagement. And it just sort of like stopped everything this year. And so I was really devastated behind it because, this is a story. So I have to get out. I've got to promote myself. I've got to travel if I want to, really do this thing. So,
Right.
but honestly, everything that is going on right now, I wrote about it because I saw it coming. I just didn't know exactly what it was.
Mm.
But I know that the outcome of all this is very, very spiritual. And so it's definitely it's taught me more obedience too. Because it's like, just when I think things are going to get better, it's like it's getting worse. But
Right.
but you have to train your mind to, it's your, it's kind of like being reprogrammed all over again or something like that. Like you really have to know what's important to you and stick with that and then not let this epidemic stop you. And you have to put forth so much more strength now than ever.
Mm.
Because it's easy to say, I give up because I don't know what the world is doing tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really
Right.
easy to say that at this point. But if you know that you are doing something and you truly believe in what you're doing, you're going to keep going, no matter what epidemic is, going on, or no matter what the seasons look like. You're going to keep pushing. So, um, Kansas City is it's shut down a little bit. Everything closes early around here. But then again, I don't really go many places anyway, unless it's dealing with my book. So it
Right.
doesn't really bother me too much. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to go back to that previous question. I forgot to tell you that
Okay.
I know all three of the men that were responsible.
Mm.
And I actually ran into one of them downtown. We were face to
Right.
face. It looked like he hadn't slept in years. His eyes were so bloodshot red. And I think that was one of the most difficult things for me. Because I had felt something in my body that was just like showing me this is him. And
So
it
you
was him,
were.
same man in the picture. And so it was so deep. It was so powerful. And they know who I am too. They call me Davis Jackson. Yep. Yeah. Kansas
Mm.
City's pretty small. So yeah. One of them lives in Las Vegas. Some of them live here. And then the other, I think, lives in Topeka, Kansas. But um, it's kind of like,
Oh man, that is crazy. I mean,
it's,
did you approach him?
I've never
You said
approached anybody.
you ran
I,
into him downtown and you knew who he was.
yes. I knew exact
So
matter of
you
fact, he crossed my path. We locked eyes and everything. He had no idea that I knew who he was.
right.
And then when I think his lawyer was calling his name, and when he said his name, that's when I knew for a fact that's who that person was in the case record. I
Mm.
have an urge and I have this vision that there's one in particular that I do want to contact at some point. And I know it sounds crazy, but one thing I believe about this life is that, well, one thing that I've learned, through my father's murder and just through his life alone is that even in death, that the unresolved issues of your past will resurface again. So I don't want to leave this world and know that I feel this certain way about somebody. I'm really big on like telling it straight, how I feel to get it off my chest, because I believe that the state of the man in life is the state of the man in death. So therefore, anything unresolved here, I don't want to take, when it's my time to go. So, if it's in God's will, then I will have my chance to reach out to this person. I think we all deserve to, be saved at some point. We all deserve to have the past, because I know they don't sleep. I mean, I know that they don't. They may sleep, but I know that it's on them. It's on them heavy. Um, just because it's on me, just because it's been on other people that have met me and have learned the case. My attorney, who now lives in Wisconsin, she's a white lady. She was blown. She was so thrown back. She had never seen anything like this in her life, and so it's definitely life changing. So yeah,
Right. I mean,
that's what
they
I'm saying.
say the truth shall come to light, right?
That's true.
So, it's only a matter of time.
Hmm. That is so.
Um, Man, with that being said, I didn't compliment you. I wanted to tell you you look really nice today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I try.
Definitely. Absolutely, absolutely. And this was actually something that you had accomplished and achieved prior to the pandemic. And I want to bring it up because this was a very beautiful cover. And I want to, congratulate you again for being to represent the famous Chicago Bridge magazine. Um, so,
I love
definitely congratulations. It's a great cover. And you know, can you talk about, your experience and what that meant to you to be on the cover of the magazine?
I sure will. It was so inspiring. First of all, Chicago is the town. Okay, that's where music generates. That's where our people, people were able to express themselves in the musical aspect. So that meant a lot to me, just in
Right.
general, just to be a part of
Chicago.
yeah, being part of Chicago, exactly. But yeah, it is a very beautiful cover. I get a lot of compliments on it. Um, I encourage other authors to reach out to Chicago Bridge for their opportunity because I know that it's there. I love the fact that it highlights greatness in the Black community, just Black people in general, whether you're a celebrity, whether you're just a, you know, um, first time author, or just a person that's trying to just get their talent out. I really, really appreciate that. And I just loved it. I still do. I still promote it. And you guys are doing some really good things. And I was honored because I believe it was in February that you posted the Chicago Bridge had published that because it was Black History. So
And that's right before, man, congratulations to you. And we were definitely happy, honored, and it's definitely our pleasure. You know what I mean? We don't take anyone for granted. And, we take pleasure in highlighting people that are independent and, strong willed and, you know, people that's go getters, movers and shakers, like yourself. So to be an author and to be able to tell your story and the story that you have being so deep and with such delicate information, like I say, you know, from the time from your father being a high profile person, celebrity that is, along with being a mason like you was speaking about earlier. So that was like, man, most people would have gave up when they, just went up against that obstacle, what I mean, and ran into some of that people that wasn't willing to work with you and trying to discourage you. So, again, big ups to you and man, congratulations. And you've had a successful journey. What I mean, I hope that everything that you are seeking out of, this um legacy of your dad, comes to light for you
I
in the
receive
way
it.
that you desire.
I I receive it because I know it is. I think there's a scripture that says that the treasures of your heart. No, I'm sorry. Where your treasures are, so will your heart be also. And
Mm.
like I said, the only way that this higher power was able to get my attention was through something like this.
Mm. Right.
Literally, there was. I mean, there's never been anything else that mattered to me enough um, for me to really, really, really dig deep, and discover and understand what it means to have true faith in something. And today is a very special day for me because it marks the anniversary when I published a book. When I published a book, November 30th. So yeah, I wanted to.
I'm glad that we was able to make this happen then, for the anniversary, and congratulations on your 1 year anniversary.
Thank
That's
you. Oh,
beautiful, and that's
6 years.
very powerful. 2 year anniversary. That's even double as powerful. You know what I'm saying? The double up in 2020. You know what I'm saying? That's like super powerful. I'm into numbers. I love numbers.
Yeah,
And so in 2020, your 2nd year anniversary, that's really powerful. That's greatness.
absolutely.
And you did, and and in the 2nd month, you were on the front cover of the magazine, right? That's two two. That's 2020 right there for you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So hey, you did that.
I appreciate you for sure.
So definitely, I really appreciate you too, Annisa. And anything that you need further, what I mean, just again, you reach out to both the famous Chicago Bridge magazine, and of course, I said in management all day
Okay.
long. You have our support. What I mean, and again, thank you for representing our cover, the Chicago Bridge magazine, and again, could you leave them with the opportunity of how they can find and purchase your book?
You can find this book. See it?
Yeah, I can bring it up on the screen.
Amazon. Amazon.com. Or you can feel free to send me a message through Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to ship it to you with a personalized signature as well as a gift. But if it's more convenient for you to go to Amazon, you can do that. I appreciate it.
Most definitely, most definitely. And thank you so much for making time to, be able to do this interview. I know you say you did you stay in the house a lot, but still, I know you are really deep into this journey and your mission to accomplish your mission. So thank you again today, and I welcome you to continue to stay as I'll do the outro of this interview.
All right.
Yep. But I'm going to end it with a few more pictures that I'll show before representing your book. And again, thank you for being here again today, Annisa Davis. And please go out and purchase her book, Memoirs of a Broken Side. You already know why, because I said it. That's right. That's the book, Floating. Okay. Thank you. We really appreciate you as being a guest today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Blessings to you.
Blessings to you too. Love and peace.
Much love. Much love. So we're gonna show a few pictures of her and her book, and then we're gonna go into video. That's right. That's right. And thank you again to motivational speaker, author, and daughter of former Pittsburgh Steeler, Annisa Davis. I want to remind you today is Cyber Monday, and I Said in Management, both the famous Chicago Bridge magazine is offering a big discount up to 50% off. Invest today, now. All you have to do is just inbox me. It's that simple. Inbox me if you want a discount. It's that simple. Thank you again to our special guest, Annisa Davis. And please go out and purchase her book. I will have the link to her book in the description once I share this on live video. And again, the name of the book is Memoirs of a Broken Side. Thank you today for joining us again. And again, this was another episode of Celebrity Interviewer. I Said It, the show. Peace, blessings. Sponsored by the famous Chicago Bridge magazine. I Said It.